everyone, it's Patty from PS Paper Crafts. Thanks for joining me for another card. I'm making this card. It says, I just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way, and I thought that was cute, and then thinking of you. I'm using the Art Gallery stamp set. There's dies that I'll also be using with this. I have to say these stamps are so beautiful. It's a two-step, and then this one goes with this. We'll be using this today, and you can see what I'm talking about. The stamp that I'm using for the, let me just get it. The sentiment is the Happy Thoughts, and this is a stamp set that was designed by Jackie Bolhus. I hope I'm not saying her name wrong. She had $1 million in sales, and when you do that with Stampin' Up, you get to design your own stamp. So this is her stamp, and I think it's great. I love all the sentiments. I love the font, the script, and all of that. So we'll be using that for this larger sentiment. I'm also going to do some embossing, and I'm using the Painted Textures Embossing Folder, which I thought was really cool. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some ink. I don't know if you can see it. There's little dots here and there, so it kind of looks like a painted thing. So let's get started. Let me just show you where I got my inspiration. So I look at the catalog a lot, and I think that the pictures are really beautiful, and they have some great ideas. So I saw this, and I liked the flowers, and kind of came up with my own idea on this, my own take on it. So I don't know if it's really casing it, but I was inspired by it. That's what I'll say. But I thought that was really pretty. So let's get started. I have my pieces. So I'm using Old Olive as my card base and my ink, and then I'm using pumpkin pie. So what I did to get these flowers is I stamped it in green, the Old Olive and the pumpkin pie. So I stamped them twice, and then I cut them out twice and cut them apart. So I have the flowers, and then I have the leaves, and I'm only going to stamp like part of it. I'm not going to do the whole thing. So we'll get our cardstock and the stamp, and you have to make sure you clean it between. So I'm using pumpkin pie, and I wanted to get a lighter look because then I want to use that little stamp to get the darker accent. So I'm going to stamp this on scrap paper to take a layer of the ink off, and then I'm really just going to try to get the flowers, okay? And then I'll come in with this little stamp. This is this one here, and I'm going to go straight on with the ink. So I'll just go right in there, and it doesn't have to line up exactly. I mean, if you notice, the flowers are all different shapes and sizes. It just adds a little accent to it, which I thought was so pretty. So we'll put that aside, and then we need to clean our stamp off because we're going to change to the Old Olive ink. So we'll just clean this. This is my chamois. It looks terrible, but it does a great job. And I just want to make sure it's all off. Okay, and then on this side, I'm going to do kind of the other way. So we'll ink it up, and I won't be stamping off this time. And we'll just go like this. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine 2 times. So let's put that aside and make some room here. So I've already done one of these. That's why I'm only stamping one. So I've already stamped and die cut, and then cut apart one set. So you don't have to watch me do it twice. I figured I'd save a little time here. So I'll use my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I still have a hard time with that. And then these are the dies that come in this bundle. So I'll be using this one. And so first we'll do the flowers, and I'll just really pay attention to the flowers. I really don't care about the leaves. and we'll just go right over it, just like that. Now, if you want to put a piece of post-it note or something like that, you can do that just to make sure. I like to just lay my plate over it so I'm not moving it, kind of hold it here, and we'll go through. Okay, and then, oops, we'll take it out, and there's usually a couple of pieces left, so we'll just take them off and take this piece off. So I'm going to cut that part off, and there's usually a couple of little leftover pieces in here, so I'll just use my scissors and get them out. If you run it through, it may not cut as sharply if you leave those leftover little pieces in there. So now we want to do the same thing, but with the leaf part. So we'll just get this right around, and these dies really hug very tightly now. They go right up to the edge. They've redone the dies, and I like it because there's no question. You really know where you're going with it. So let's just hold this a little bit and run this through. And then while we have our machine out, we can do our layer that we're going to emboss. So now we have this piece, and let's get rid of, well, let's just get rid of this whole thing, so I'll clean it up later. So we'll put this aside, and then we want to get our piece. Now this is 3 3/4 by 5.5, and we're just going, and I did the inside the same way. So let's get our embossing folder. And this is really a pretty embossing folder. It looks like thick, heavy paint. And it's one of the 3D embossing folders. So we're going to use our number 1 and our number 4. So it shows right on here the instructions. Using 3D embossing folders, use a number 1 and a number 4. And I like to have the fold go first through the machine. I think it just keeps your embossing folder safe. So we'll go through, and I'm going to go back again. Okay, so we're done with the machine. So let's take this out. See how beautiful it is? And you can really use either side on this one. Sometimes you pick a side, the embossed or debossed, but for this one we can just stick with this one. So the next step, let's cut these apart. So this is the leaves, and I try to make it so it's not so pointy, although this will be covered a little bit. So if there's any pointy edges, I just try to smooth them out, and I do that whenever I fussy cut. So I think that's good. And then for this one, we'll cut off the leaves and the stems and just have the flower. So very easy. You can also color on your die. The reason I did it this way was I wanted to have a little bit more room because it's kind of tight here, so I wanted this to overlap. And then also I wanted to get the 2 colors here, which I guess I could have colored on my stamp with my Stampin' Write markers, stamped off first on scrap, and then I would have gotten the lighter color and the lighter green. So I'm not sure what they did in the catalog, but this was my way. So I'm going to put everything away because now we're going to do this messy part. So let me get a piece of scrap, and I have this. Now what I'll do is I'll get the pumpkin pie ink, and I'm just going to get a little clear block and just ink it right up. And let's close this up. And then I'll take my aqua painter. This is filled with water, and I'll just squeeze a little bit so it's a little wet. And then I'll just, what I'm doing is I'm adding some water and picking up some color. And then I just go like this, and it splatters. And you can do as much or as little as you want. If you need more color, you just pick it up. Okay, so that's how that works. And then to clean this off, you're just going to do this until it's clean, kind of like the blender brushes. Okay, I'm going to put this whole thing aside because I don't want anything wet on my area. So I'm going to put this aside so it dries as well. I'll bring the card back in. Let's do our sentiment. So I'm using the Tasteful Labels Dies. This is a great set as well because it has all different sizes. I'm using the largest one, which I've already cut. It's stitched. It's pretty. And we're going to stamp the sentiment. And as I said, it's from the Happy Thoughts. So I'm using this one because I think everybody needs some happy thoughts these days, don't you? So we'll just stamp this on and hopefully it will be straight. Usually I will stamp and then cut it, but I wanted to just save a little bit time on this video. So I don't put my stickers on because I find them to be too sticky. So I usually try to use the frame of the stamp itself to determine whether it's straight or not. And that looks good. Okay, and then on the inside, I did Thinking of You from the same set, and I did another set of flowers. So let's do that while we're doing our stamping. And I think this Thinking of You is a little funny to get straight, so we'll see how we do. And I probably should stamp on scrap first. That looks good. It's leaning a little bit, but I think it's good. And then we'll do our big stamp. I want to clean it because the last thing I did was the old olive ink. So let me get my chamois again. So you just have to make sure you clean between. Okay, and I'm only doing the orange. I'm not worrying about the greenery. And I'm trying to just, let me just pull this back in again. I'm going to use this corner down here. I want to get mainly the flowers. So let's get our pumpkin pie again. And I never use pumpkin pie. I think I only use it in the fall. So it is a pretty color for these flowers. Not sure why I don't use it. And I'm trying to just get mainly the flowers in. And then we'll do this little stamp. And there's a lot of orange on that stamp. Hopefully we won't make a mistake here. See it on the end? It's making me a little nervous. Okay. And I think that just adds so much, like, kind of depth to it. It's pretty. So let's put that aside. Let's get rid of this. This should be dry now. So we can start putting our card together. Now, I did have, you know, a little bit of difficulty, I'll say, playing with this and getting everything in the right place because I didn't want to cover the words and this was very big. But let's put the card on the card base first, for the card front on the card base. Where's my stamp and seal? Oh. And usually on a card that's, or a layer that has a lot of depth and bumps and stuff, I use liquid glue, but I'm going to go with this today. I will use the liquid glue for the flowers though, or the stems and the leaves, just so I can get them on. It's very kind of small areas. So let's just, I like to lay things out before I put them down. I will pop up the flowers with dimensionals, but see, it's a little tight. Just to get an idea. And this one, I think I really came out from the side more than from the bottom. And you can overlap it a little bit. So I know it's messy. So let's put this down first. Let me get some liquid glue. And we'll just go put little dots here and there. And I don't want to go above the card, that's the key. So you want it to fit in the envelope. And let's see how that's going to go. I think that will work. And then I used dimensionals. And I didn't put dimensionals up here. I just put a little bit of glue. So let's actually get this down as well. We'll put dimensionals on everything here. So, got something stuck back there. And let me just actually put the dimensionals on here as well, so I can line it up. So I'm going to put one here. See, I had the back of this I used for some of my practice runs. And then I'll put just a little bit of glue up here. So I want this raised up, but I want it to sit on the sentiment itself. So we're going to eyeball this. Hopefully it'll work. See, so this will sit right there. And then we'll do the same with the bottom one. We'll just put a little glue. And let me get it at the stem as well. Kind of figure out where this guy's going to go. Now this way, I think I have much more room down here than I had above. Perfect. Okay, so we'll put some dimensionals on this one. Again, not on this top one. Although for this I could probably, because it's, I think I'll put one right down at the bottom here, because I think that'll work. And then I'll just put this little bit of glue up here. All right, so you just have to play with it, and you have to, you know, think about the height of things and what's going to sit on top of what. You don't want to have a dimensional where it's going to sit on top of something with a dimensional. I hope that makes sense. So there we go. All right, and then what I found, I have to tell you, I love, where are they? The holiday rhinestones. They're not just for holidays. So this is actually pumpkin pie. I love that. I was going to color them with my blends, but I thought, oh, it actually has pumpkin pie. I always look through my catalog and check colors and try to figure what's going to match the best. I mean, you could just put pearls or rhinestones, but I thought this was nice, and I think I'll go with the bigger one up here. So I'm just putting the 3. Isn't that pretty? It's a little artsy fartsy for me. I don't usually do this kind of messy stuff. I'm really a clean and simple girl, but I thought this was easy and pretty. So let's put this down on the inside. And again, you don't have to do this layer the same way. I did the same kind of up and down, top to bottom. And you can make this a top opening card. A lot of times those, this style, you have it where it opens up. But I like this. The only thing with those cards is I don't think they stand up that well. Like this, when you have it on your counter, those seem to lay down. So I like this type better. So these are the cards. I hope if you have this set that you are loving these flowers. And thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Bye.